you don't mind, would you grab your Bibles and meet me in the book of Ephesians, where we continue in our series this morning. The book of Ephesians, chapter 4. We'll pick it up around verse 17. Book of Ephesians, chapter 4. We'll pick up our reading at verse 17. Hear these words of our Father. So I tell you this and insist on it in the Lord, that you must no longer live as the Gentiles do in the futility of their thinking. They are darkened in their understanding and separated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to the hardening of their hearts. Having lost all sensitivity, they have given themselves over to sensuality so as to indulge in every kind of impurity, and they are full of greed. That, however, is not the way of life you learned when you heard about Christ and were taught in him in accordance with the truth that is in Jesus. You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. Therefore, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold. Anyone who has been stealing must steal no longer, but must work. Do something useful with their own hands, that they may have something to share with those in need. Paul, he takes us down a path that if we're not careful in navigating this path, we can end up in one of two places. Paul, in chapters 1, 2, and 3, he's talking about who we are and whose we are, and Christ's role, Christ's blessing, who he is and what Christ has given to us. Paul, in chapters 4, 5, and 6, he turns a practical corner and he begins to leave doctrine and deal with duty, answering the question how it is that we should live. But you can never come to the proper conclusion concerning how it is that we should live if you don't do due diligence on doctrine and knowing who you are and whose you are. In other words, friends, if you don't receive it right, you will miss the whole thing. If you don't receive salvation right, if you don't start right, you will miss the wrong. And there are one of two ways where you can receive it completely wrong. All that Christ has done, this new life that Christ has given us, this new thing that Christ wants to do, there are one of two ways that you can miss it. You can receive it, number one, and you can see it as a negotiating of terms or a hostile takeover. The negotiating of terms or a hostile takeover. The negotiating of terms is the idea of saying, Jesus, my life is I'm really a good person. I'm 75%. I'm really 75%, 70% a good dude. So I just really need about, my goodness, I need about 30% of your supernatural. And if we could come together and make a team, I should be good. Because I need that supernatural power just in case, that's in case cancer shows up or unemployment shows up. If I hit a rough spot, if I lose my girlfriend, I'm going to need something supernatural. But other than that, I should be good. So if I take my good and add it with your super good, then I should be super good. So let's negotiate terms. If I could low key, if I could really put you on like a retainer, like if I could have you on a retainer consultant type tip where I can just call you in for crisis management, that would be good because I'm already good. And we approach God as if we're negotiating terms with him. It's this idea of, okay, I'll stop doing this, but I ain't gonna stop doing that, so that's gonna be fine. So Jesus, you just gotta be okay with this. And let's put together this hybrid, this mosaic, this montage of what I think a whole spiritual life would be. And Jesus, if you just sign at the bottom and commit to your part, I'll be good on my part. See salvation as an idea of coming together for a negotiating of terms. Or we see it as a hostile takeover. We see Jesus as like a bad episode of Cops, and he's standing out the door. You know, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we come for you? Oh, Jesus at the door. Oh, no, put the weed up. Jesus at the door. Boom, boom, boom. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. And he kicks the door in, puts a gun in your head and says, choose right now, heaven or hell. What is it gonna be? You gonna go to heaven? You gonna go to hell? Oh, God, I don't know. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. I don't know. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to die. I want to go. So yes, I'm going to go to heaven. So I'm saved. I gave my life to Jesus because I don't want to go to hell. The preacher came and literally scared the hell out of me. So now I don't want to go. I don't want to go to hell. So every day I'm walking like I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to go to hell. I want to make good decisions. Oh no, I kissed the girl. What if Jesus comes back? I'm going to hell. Like salvation is this hostile takeover where I feel like I got this heavenly gun to my head to where every time I mess up, every time the angels of heaven, man, it's like, oh, are they going to break in and take me away tonight because I messed up? You know what I mean? You feel like you're working for the mafia, but you're really serving Jesus, but it feels the same way. Something's wrong with that. You know what I mean? The problem is when you're just negotiating terms, it produces self-righteousness and pride. God, I'm really good. I'm good. I really don't even need to say, I just need you to add on to what I already got going on. Or if it's a hostile takeover, it produces fear and shame. Oh, God, I don't want to make the right decision. I don't want to do everything right. Oh, I messed up. Oh, I feel so bad. God, are you going to leave? Oh, God. It's this fear and shame. When salvation is neither negotiating of the terms that produces pride and self-righteousness, nor is it what was the third one? Hostile. Nor is it a hostile takeover. Nor is it a hostile takeover that's fueled by fear and shame. But what it really is, it's a satisfying surrender that produces gratitude and a sense of awe and wonder at the greatness of God. It's a satisfying surrender. And I say satisfying surrender because everybody surrender, it ain't because they are satisfied in that they're surrendering to. Some people surrendering because they just got caught. You know what I mean? It's not like the guys we see in LA like every Wednesday running from the cops. Y'all see these people? Like the car chases, like, dude, pull over. Don't you know how this is going to end? Didn't you see the guy last week? It's not going to be a good look for you. Like, pull over. They're like, man. And they're like going at it. They're like, whew, man, if I had 10 more minutes, man, I could have made it. It's not that kind of surrender. It's like, Jesus, man, I came to you, Jack, but if I had 10 more minutes, man, I would have got away, man. I would have had some more. It's like, what? It's like, hey, I didn't come to negotiate terms, but it's a satisfying surrender. It's a surrender where I say, thank you, Jesus, because the very thing that I've been chasing has now captured me. Did you see that? The very thing that I've been going after, although I didn't even know that that's what I was going after. But we're all longing for God. It's the age-old statement that says that there's a God-shaped hole in our life that only He can fill. But we're longing for God, but we're reaching for other things to fill it. And in that moment when Jesus Christ comes alive in your life, you finally are captured by the thing that you've been chasing. He captures you, and then you're captivated. And it is a satisfying surrender because the deepest longings of my soul have now been satisfied in the abundance and splendor and beauty of God. I am in awe of who He is and all that He has provided in my life. I am blown away that a God so beautiful and so holy could love a wretch like me. His grace leaves me speechless. So it is in awe and in wonder and with great gratitude that we step into Ephesians chapter 4, verse 17, not under a hostile takeover, not trying to negotiate terms, but we gladly come with gratitude, awe, and wonder, asking the question, then how is it that we should live in response to a God that's been this good? It's a completely different starting point. And if you start from another point, well, it's the classic teenage question that many of us still ask as adults. The question, we try to see how close to the line of sin we can get before we're out of bounds. We come to the Lord and say, now, I want to get saved, but does that mean I'm going to have to stop having sex with my girlfriend or my boyfriend? Do I have to stop smoking weed? It is legal in Denver. Come on now. What does the Lord have to say about that? Huh? Come on. Come on now. You know what I mean? It's like you come in and you're trying to negotiate terms. You're trying to see how can I get the best. You're trying to see how close to the edge can I get without falling off. You wouldn't marry anybody like that. What if your fiance came and said, now, baby, how do you spell adultery? I mean, like, what's really fooling around? Come on, I mean, was this fooling around or is that fooling around? Which one is it now? Come on, because I'm just saying, how close can you be? Like, fool, I'm not marrying you. Like, you don't want a wife? I don't know how it was when you met your wife. I don't know how it was when you got married, but when I saw my wife, when I met my wife, I had been looking relationship after relationship. But when I saw her, she captured me. And it was the very thing that I had been chasing and looking for. Something about her grace, her beauty, her love for God, her intelligence, her love for me stopped me in my tracks, and I was captured and in awe. And the question was never, how much love do I have to give you? It was like, how much love can I give you and still breathe? That was so good. And she's not even in this service. That was good. I'm gonna have to write that down. How much love can I give and still breathe? I'm gonna say that tonight around 10 o'clock. Yeah? Okay. I guess what I'm trying to get you to understand is that it's a love thing. It's a love thing. If you start and trying to negotiate terms, or God's got this hit, man, I'm trying to do right, man. I'm trying to do right by the Lord. No. You've missed the beauty. He was never after you doing better. He was never after what you do. He was always after who you be. Because once he changes who you be, then that has a direct impact on what you do. So it's not about behavior modification. And man, let me just work harder to do a better thing. No. What he does is he transforms your heart and he changes your palate. So the thirst and the thirsting and the desires of your palate have completely been transformed. You don't even thirst and desire the things you used to desire because you've tasted and you've seen the goodness of the Lord. And once you've tasted the goodness of the Lord, it's just hard to go back to the old stuff. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? It's like once you've had a good steak. You may not be a carnivore, you may not be a meaty person, but that's cheap steak. You know what I mean? Like with all due respect, there's like a T-bone you can get from Denny's. You know what I mean? And Denny's is a great organization. They're great. They're specialized in eggs, probably not steak. You know what I'm saying? So you want eggs over my hammy? Great. You know what I mean? The classic ribeye in town? Not so much. All right? So I ain't hating on Denny's. I kind of am, but I'm trying to make it nice. But it's something about when you go and you get a steak that's been prepared well. You know what I mean? It's just hard to go back to the cheap stuff. The reality is many of us do, though. So the message today is to get you to leave the cheap stuff so that you might live in the new that God has created for you, that you might live in the new that God has designed for you, and that you may not waste your days settling for the cheap stuff when God has something priceless that he's prepared for you. Y'all ready to get in the word this morning? Y'all ready? Y'all up in here? All right, let's go. Let's get in. First thing you got to do is you got to put off the old thing. I love it. He says, Paul says there's an old nature, there's an old thing you got, there's an old way of living, the old man, your old humanity. And the first thing you got to do is you got to pull off the old humanity, and you got to know what the old humanity is. He helps us. The old humanity, number one, what sin does to your old humanity, what it does to you is, number one, it hardens your heart. The word in the Greek is literally the idea of calluses. It's the idea of an extra layer of skin growing over your heart to harden it. It's kind of like this. Due to my profession and my occupation, I don't necessarily know the joys of having calluses on my hands. Other than holding the Bible a lot, my hand's pretty soft. However, my grandfather, Eddie Jones, was a man who worked out in the fields. Eddie Jones would work out sun up to sundown, cutting grass, raking, digging out the garden, on the tractor. Man, he worked out in the field, and he worked with his hands. Worked with his hands so much so that you shake my granddaddy's hand, feel like you shaking asphalt in your hand. Yeah, it's like it's rough and rugged. Like you want to go put lotion on your hands when you get done. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like one of those, was that me? What was that? Was that me? Ooh, it's because he had calluses. What happens is, to protect his hand, the body does an automatic thing. It develops this extra layer of skin that's thick, that's tough, and that's hard to protect the hands. The problem with calloused hands is, if you ever held a brand new baby, their skin is the softest thing you can touch. Their skin is the softest thing you can touch. The softest thing you can touch. The softness of a baby's skin is phenomenal. My grandfather will never know that feeling anymore because his hands are so calloused. He can't feel the soft and gentle touch of a baby's skin. Paul is saying, the old man, the reason why you got to get it off, and the reason why you got to get it off fast is because it'll leave your heart with a layer of skin so calloused and so tough that the nudges of the Holy Spirit trying to nudge you and push you to godliness, push you to righteousness, push you to do and live in a way that's honoring to God, you won't even feel it. You won't even feel it. You know this feeling. Many of us, you know this feeling. It's the feeling that when you first used to sin, you used to have tears. You used to have remorse. Your heart would be broken because you knew that you were not living. Even if you weren't a Christian, when you would do a bad thing, you would feel it in your bones, in your soul. You would feel the guilt, the shame, the ache. You'll feel bad. But after a while, you don't even feel bad anymore. Some of us, we've lost our tears. We can go, we can lie, steal, cheat, be dishonest, be deceiving, be manipulative, indulge in sexual immorality, and don't even think nothing of it. He says that's a dangerous place to be because your eyes have grown dull and dark, and the piercing light of the gospel and the hand of the Holy Spirit you can't feel and you can't see anymore, and that's a dangerous place to be. You can't even feel bad for your sin anymore. It's the person that goes to the party and gets unapologetically drunk every week. Y'all know that person. They get on your nerves. It's like, that's drink number 3. And it's unapologetic. And it's like, forget Christianity. Like, and that's not something you hear pastors say often, but like, forget Christianity. Put Christianity to the side. It's just not a good look. Like, you just look bad. You're fumbling all over the place. You're all toe up. Your clothes falling all out. Now your friends, they can't party. Now they got to take care of you. You know what I mean? It's like, excuse me, I'm sorry. I can't have a good time because I got a 3-year-old with me tonight. Get out of the toilet with your head. Come on. It's like, it messes up the night for everybody. They throw up in your car, and then you wake up the next morning. Girl, wasn't that good? Oh, man, let's do it again. No, I don't want to do it again. I don't ever want to see you again. Get away from me. Like, it's not a good look. And you wonder what happened to them. Paul says it's a thing that happens to all of us when we wear the old man. We get calloused. You don't feel anymore. You say, don't you care what other people think? Don't you care about the people that love you that's got to do all this stuff? Don't you care about the impact that you're having on our lives? Like, I don't care because I don't feel anymore. Can't you see what this is doing to your own self, your own body? I don't care because I can't see anymore because I'm living in darkness. And the most dangerous part about living in the darkness is that your eyes adjust and you can get used to the dark. Some of you, you're sitting in this room and your eyes have adjusted to the darkness that you live in. That's why other people wonder, how can you do it? How can you go and stay in that abusive relationship? You will be amazed at the stuff that you can put up with when your eyes adjust to the darkness and your heart grows calloused and cold. You'll be amazed. How can you live under such disrespect and live under such oppression? You'll be amazed at what kind of oppressions you can get used to when your eyes are darkened and your hearts have grown calloused. How can you live like this? You just live from check to check. You just gotten used to this. Won't you do something with yourself? Won't you? Because you used to be so much better. You can be amazed. That's why I tell people, don't ever say what you'll never do. It's arrogance and pride. I'm a Christian and I still won't say what I'll never do. Because if I drift away and I find myself outside of God, my heart is deceitful and manipulative, and it will drive me to fulfill my greatest pleasures. And my greatest pleasures, when I indulge in them, will always, always, always lead me to my greatest demise. Did you get that? That's the second thing. The heart is calloused, and it says that they gave themselves up over to their own pleasures. And let me tell you something. When you give yourself up to your own pleasures, when you well, listen to this. This is going to be good. Listen, when you resist the beauty of the pain of discipline in your life. Did you get that? When you resist the beauty of the pain of discipline in your life. When you refuse to tell yourself no. I'm grown. I do what I want to do. If I want to do all that, I do what I want to do. Yeah, you do what you want to do. But over time, what you don't realize is what you want to do will destroy you. It's classic. It's elementary. I don't even have to get deep and theological. We can take a 3-year-old and teach and learn from this one. 3-year-old and teacher. Just imagine a 3-year-old wanting candy, always wanting more candy, and the parents are asleep. The candy bowl is right there. Some of you ain't got to be 3. You're 33 and you got the same temptation. For the first time, I can go ham on this candy bowl with no rejection. Nobody's watching. I eat 1. I eat 2. Usually that's it. Usually I've never had more than 2. That's usually it. Because usually mom comes around, what are you eating? I'm like, nothing. But mom sleep. Nobody's watching. I can have more than 2. I can have 200. Come on, imagine. Think back to a child. You got to think. And nobody's there. Nobody's there to tell me no. Nobody's there to turn me down. So what does a child do if you let them? Just go ham. They just go in. Just go in. 3 hours later, they're in the corner about to throw up, sick as a dog. Learned an invaluable lesson. When you unleash yourself to indulge in your pleasures, you open yourself to the death that your pleasures bring. For the wages of sin is death. The wages, the payment of sin. And payment ain't like some of us. He pays his bill on time, every time. That check of death is going to be on time. Ain't going to be late. Ain't going to need an extension. He's going to pay you that check of death every time. The old self, the reason why you got to get it off you, because it'll harden your heart, it'll turn you over to your own pleasures, and finally, it's always consumed with greed. Paul says that it's always filled with greed. It'll never be enough. It'll never be enough. You can indulge yourself in all your wants, all your desires, it'll never be enough. You can look at pornography for hours, and you'll still want more. You can make the salary that you've been dreaming of. This is the salary that you said, oh man, if I get that much, then woo, you'll get it, get the first check, look around and say, I want more. I'm telling you, sin will always leave you thirsty and never quench your thirst. It'll always whet your appetite, but never satisfy the deepest longings of your soul. Paul says, take off. Get it off. I'm sweating. Take off the old man. As a matter of fact, he'll do like a good stylist, come to your closet and begin to take all the old stuff out that don't fit no more. This don't fit you no more. This, you should have never had this to begin with. It's like, He'll take stuff out that should have never been in your life, never been in your wardrobe, never been a part of you. You weren't made, you weren't designed, you weren't created to wear this. This is not a good look, boo. This was never good. It was never a good idea. It was never fitting of who I created you to be. I made you to be in the image of God, not the image of a Christmas tree. Don't do it. Right? He says, he says, take off all the old man. He says, take off the old man. Then he says, I love it. He says, put on the new man. The new man. Let's talk about this a little bit. New man, we've seen this word before. In the Greek, the new man is, the word new here is, there are two words in the Greek for new. One is neos, one is kainos. Neos literally means new in time. We've talked about this before. Neos is new in time. So it's the idea of 2015 SL Mercedes or the 2015 Boeing 757. Kainos is not new in time, but new in kind. New in kind. So it's not the latest iteration of a thing. It's not the newest version of a thing. Kainos is a thing you've never seen before. Kainos isn't a 757 Boeing 2015. Kainos is the Wright brothers, the very first plane ever designed. Something you've never seen before. It's a new thing. It's not the newest version of the Mercedes. It's the Model T. It's the very first car ever seen. He says, behold, I'll do in you a new thing, not a new iteration of you, not the latest version of you, not a better version. I'm going to be better than I was last year. No. Not a better version of who you used to be. A new you that's never been seen before, a new you that's broken all the molds and you've never seen a design for you. This is a new humanity, a new you, a new kainos. So he says, put on the new you. I've done a new thing that's never been done. And I love it because this word kainos, it's an eros tense. It's an eros tense in the Greek, which means it's single, past, and final action. It's a single, past, and final action. So it's the idea of, I'm coming to your neighborhood in just a few moments, stick with me here. It's the idea of taking off the old man once and for all and putting on the new man once and for all. Single, past, final action with continuing results. It's eros tense. It's the idea of put it on once and for all. It is a new humanity. Walk in it. So he says, pull off the old. I love it. And he says, put on the new. There's a problem here. If I didn't put it off once and for all, and I've put this on once for all, why are there times in my life where I feel like it's come off and I need to put it on again? Maybe y'all don't want to talk about this. And maybe you got yourself together and maybe once you got saved, you did everything right after that. But I don't know about you, but maybe it's just me. But after I got saved, I still made mistakes. I still missed the mark. Shh, don't tell nobody. I still sinned. But I had the new humanity. How is it that I'm still sinning in my new humanity? Paul helps us. He says, I love it. He says, put on the new humanity in the renewing of the spirit of your mind. Listen to the language there. It's very important. In the renewing of the spirit of your mind. One translation says, in the renewing of the attitude of your mind. Another translation says, in the renewing of the theme, the focus, the direction of your mind. He says, I've given you a new humanity, but you got to dress your mind in the new humanity every single day. So you got to dress your old mind in the new humanity every day. Y'all not getting it? Let me help you. He says, when I've done the new thing in your life, don't go back to your old closet to dress your mind. You got to make sure that you get dressed in your kainos closet and put on your new clothes so that your new mind can match your new humanity. Lest you go and try to put on your old clothes and on your old mind of covering up your new humanity. Y'all didn't get it. Let me help you. He says, before you do this, so you'll mess around and have a new humanity, and then go and try to put on an old shirt in your new humanity. And the reality is, boo, it don't fit no more. This just ain't a good look no more. It never was, but nothing's worse than you having a new humanity and wearing your old clothes. Nothing worse than you having a whole new wardrobe where you can be dressed in righteousness, godliness, and holiness, and you still going back to the thrift store picking up old stuff that never fit you to begin with. He says, when you get dressed in your new humanity and dress your mind in your righteousness and the holiness of God. So when you put it on, you look like God. He says, dress yourself, accessorize yourself in the things that God has done in your life so that you might look like the beautiful kingdom kid that you are. So you can't put on the new humanity and then go put on pornography as an accessory. If you do, it just won't match, it won't feel right. Because God has done a new thing in your life. So don't go dressing in your old closet, because God has done a new thing. Dress your mind. He says, renew the spirit of your mind. Daily, y'all, every day, we got to come to the closet of our new humanity and put on the righteousness of God. Two things you need to know about these clothes. Number one, you can't buy them. They're too much. You can't afford it. These were bought with a price by the blood of the Lamb. You can't hang with this. You can't shop there. You can't afford this. So lest you go out and you try to work and try to negotiate terms, you can't negotiate these terms. This is out of your league. It's kind of like, have you ever been out to dinner somewhere and you going with you're a guest of another friend and they take you to a restaurant that you would never go to on your own because it's too expensive? One of those expensive restaurants, y'all know them, where the price ain't even on the menu. Y'all ever been there before? Freaked me out the first time I went 2 weeks ago. It freaked me out. You be like, ain't no. I must have a bad menu. Can I see your, ain't no? And you don't want to, you kind of be, you want to act like you've been there before, although you haven't. You know what I mean? You're like, ain't no prices on the menu. You know what I mean? So you end up the waiter coming, you be like, hey, how you doing? I was just wondering, how much is the steak? For some reason, my menu doesn't have the price on it. And see, then at that point, everybody know you brand new. You know what I mean? Everybody, so you out of yourself. And then the waiter says, oh, the ribeye, $175. And you think, oh, I'll have water with lemon and a salad. You want chicken or shrimp on the salad? No, just the salad, just greens, just greens. What, a salad dressing? Does it come with it? Like you deducting in your mind. You like, if a salad, Lord, I'm drinking water and salad. All of a sudden you're a paleo and vegetarian. No, just salad dressing. Just put it on the side just in case it costs extra. And then the moment comes, right, when the check comes, and you got to be respectful. You got to do the reach. You know what I mean? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Knowing good and well, Lord, if they let me pay for this, I ain't gonna be able to pay my house note, my rent, my car. This is gonna take everything. You know what I mean? So the bill comes, you be like, oh, and they grab it because they were like, oh, I was like, no, let me put some. Can we split it? Can we? No, and you just grab it, knowing your wallet is like your ATM card is like, no, I ain't coming out there, no. Your ATM card be like, I've been nervous since I've been up in here. I'm like, oh, Lord, what is we gonna do? You know, you pulling your ATM, it won't come. You're like, no. You're like, no, I got it. That's just like you trying to pay for the righteousness of God. You can't contribute to this. You can't put nothing on it. You can't add to it. It's bought with a price. Jesus Christ has paid it all. Only thing you can do is receive it. Only thing you can do is say, yes, Lord. I learned how to receive it. I stopped tripping it. I'll be like, next time when I come back with you, I'm going to order a steak. The grace of God is sufficient. I'm going to enjoy this grace, you know? There's freedom in the grace of God. What does it mean for you to receive the righteousness of God? Don't try to go out and pick out outfit. We've seen what you like to pick out. Green turtleneck. Because God's got God's got crushed velvet for you in Jesus' name. Yes, Lord. He's got cashmere. Yes, Lord. He's got beyond what you could imagine or ask or think of. All you got to do is receive it and put on the righteousness of God. He says, put off the old, put on the new. Finally, I've put off the old. I've put on the new. Second thing you need to understand before I move on is that this new thing that he's doing, it's still not about your behavior. He's clothing your mind, not your behavior. That's why he said, I'm giving you not new behaviors, but I'm giving you a new humanity. Don't get caught in the crutch of behavior modification or morality, because you will stand before God one day and you will have your morality in one hand and your good behavior in another hand, and he'll say, depart from me because I never knew you. I was never after your hands. I was always after your heart, because when I get your heart, then I always get your hands. It was always about your heart. So it's not an external transformation, it's an internal transformation that shows up on the outside. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you get the order wrong, you get God wrong. It's an internal transformation, and he changes who you are. And when he changes who you are, then he changes how you respond, how you live in the news. Like the great St. Augustine, who's known for sexual, being promiscuous sexually, just known for it. And then God got a hold of his heart, changed his life. And then he was traveling, and one of his old mistresses shows up. I don't know that feeling, but I can imagine some of you probably do. It's like, and she comes up and she's like, hey, Augustine, hey, Augie, what's up? You know what I mean? 1600, that's how they did it. She goes up, and St. Augustine, true story, St. Augustine, he's being nice, he's being cordial, but he's really disengaged. He's really detached. And she's really thrown off by it. She's really like, Augie, what's up? We used to, you know what I mean? So she's caught off guard. She doesn't know how to, so it just becomes this weird, awkward encounter. St. Augustine walks away, and she walks away confused. Then she turns around, almost in a final plea to reconnect. She says, Augustine, it is I. And he turns around to her and says, yes, I know, but it is not I. Because he'd been changed on the inside. And when God transforms your heart, your old clothes will be calling you. Your old people will be calling you. Your old friends will be calling you. Your old addictions will be calling you. Your old humanity will be calling you, saying, it is I. But with the power of the Holy Spirit in your new humanity, in your new kainos, dressed in your new mind, in your new closet, you can say, oh, but it is not I. For I have been changed by the gospel of Jesus Christ. So you put off the old, put on the new, and then I love it. Paul he makes it so practical. Anybody that says the Bible is not practical, you're crazy. You're just not reading it right. He makes it so practical. He breaks it down. He says, all right, and when you get in the new closet, when you put on the new clothes, your new humanity, this is how you live. And he teaches us how to live in the new. First point, take off the old. Second point, put on the new. Third point, now how do I live in the new? Now live in the new. You live like this. Number one, he says, tell the truth to your friends. Tell the truth to your neighbors. He says, put off falsehood and put on truth-telling. And tell the truth to your neighbor, because we're all in the same body. I don't have time to get into this. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more next week. But let me just say this. Can you imagine how much the world would change if we just spoke truth to one another in love? Like, can you imagine the difference that it would make if we just told the truth to one another? It's amazing how much truth we withhold from one another. Just think about the people on your job. The HR department would have less problems if somebody had told that coworker the truth. It's like that person at work that talked in every meeting and talked more than everybody else. And it was like, do you know nobody else talked for a whole hour? Do you know you're the only one that spoke? You didn't ask no questions. You didn't even, and you weren't even leading the meeting. It wasn't even your meeting. And you talked the whole time. Has anybody ever told you that you talk too much? It's like, has anybody ever told you the truth? Or are you just walking around? And listen, this isn't to give license to people that are just rude. Some of y'all just got a gift of being rude and telling people the truth. And like, no. Well, I'm talking about when you have to tell someone the truth, and it's a hard truth that they have to hear. Believers, we wrestle over this. We are burdened by it. It's drenched in prayer. It's drenched in humility. And when we say it, it's dripping in love. Did you get that? I'm not talking about y'all. I told her the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And I got out of it. I don't care what she say about me. I told her the truth. She know now. No. Some of you said, God just gave me a gift to face conflict. No. He didn't give you a gift for conflict without giving you a gift for conflict resolution. He didn't pass out one and forgot to give you the twin. They come in a package. Some people just enjoy telling people off. Or just enjoy. You want me to tell them? I'll tell them. You know what? No, we don't want you to tell nobody nothing. Please. We want you to go sit and read the Bible. Yeah. That's what we want you to do. Y'all know them people, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm quick to give a piece of my mind. That's your problem. You're giving too many pieces of your mind away and ain't much left. Go sit down and preserve the pieces of your mind you got left. Stop handing it out. It's this idea of speaking truth in love, saying hard things to one another. How would our families change? How would our communities change? How would our world change? I'll talk more about that next week. He says, we put off falsehood and put on truth-telling. The second thing is, he says, I love it. I love this one. He says, be angry and sin not. Get your pen and paper out. Lord, how do I do that? He says, what I love about this, he gives us a license to be angry. He says, I don't want Christians to be emotionally imbalanced. Anger is a natural emotion. I want you to let it rip. The problem isn't the anger. The problem is what accompanies anger. Anger is usually accompanied by irritation, exasperation, and bitterness. And the problem is when you let all four of them sleep over, it creates a problem. It says anger can stay, but don't let the sun go down on your irritation, exasperation, and your bitterness. Do you see that? It's good for them to have, but when they sleep over, when they stay, when you let the sun go down, it creates watch this now, it gives a foothold to the devil. Gives a foothold to the devil. It reminds me of the idea of rock climbing. I don't know if you ever went rock climbing. I went on a climbing wall one time, and it just looked so easy. You know, little kids be getting on there, and they be like, woo, and then go, you know what I mean? So I was like, shoot, ain't nothing to it. I put on my harness, which is a whole nother story. I put it on, got it all strapped. I was like, I'm good. You good. All right, let's scale this thing. And I went, whoa. I got to the first one. I made it up to the second one, and what they don't tell you is, in order to climb a wall right, it's not about your arm strength. It's about your leg strength. You got to use your legs. You got to have the power, because usually your legs are stronger than your arms, unless you've been in prison for 25 years. Then your arms, and you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's like your arms. I was using my arms and pulling myself up with my arms. My arms just got weak, and I couldn't pull up anymore. And I couldn't use my legs because I couldn't get a foothold. I couldn't get something to stand on to push myself up. So without anything to stand on, I couldn't push myself up. I couldn't leverage. But man, once I got a foothold, then I could stand, and in the strength of my legs, man, I could stay all day. If I just got something to stand on, if I got a foothold, I can stay forever. Paul is saying, when you allow anger and its three friends, irritation, exasperation, and bitterness, to sleep over, you create a nice foothold for Satan to be able to now stand. And once he gets that foothold, until you remove it, he can stand all day. That's why some of us, we live in anger, and we miss the beauty of the new humanity because we are angry with sin residing in our hearts, and we wonder why Satan is just hanging out in our family. Wonder why Satan is just hanging out. He's just living there, and it shows up. If you don't think that bitterness, you think I'm bitter, but no. It shows up. I think Katie somebody was calling it's kind of like roommate syndrome. It just, all of a sudden, you just let little things go and you just keep on adding, and all of a sudden, you go in and you just lose it. And it's just a little cup. Just a pink cup on the counter. Wasn't nothing wrong with the cup, wasn't nothing wrong. Nobody was doing nothing, but that cup, something about that cup, that became the last draw. And you said, oh no, she did. That's the last thing. Give me this cup. Ah! And you lose your mind. The police come, you sitting up, they giving the police report. Like, what happened? It was a cup. Is that pink? No, it wasn't a cup. It was you let anger and his friends sleep over. And it just built up and built up and built up. It happens to parents all the time. You just come in and all of a sudden your kids, they just chilling, just doing that, just playing with a little wire hanger. And all of a sudden you lose it. No more wire hangers. You just go. It's like, okay, Mom, we'll use plastic. Like, what's going on? It's bitterness, it festers. You allow Satan to have a foothold. But watch this. Watch this now. You put off irritation, exasperation, and bitterness, and you put on forgiveness and grace. Be angry still, but put on forgiveness and grace with your anger. And you yank the foothold from up under Satan, and immediately he has to fall and he loses his footing in your life. When you put forgiveness and grace, you yank the foothold, and immediately he loses his footing, and he has to fall. Some of you, you've been angry a long time. What would it mean for you to introduce forgiveness and grace to yank the foothold? So Satan, bitterness, and irritation, and exasperation would have to fall because you're living in the new humanity. And God has dressed you, and you've put on forgiveness with your anger. Are y'all with me in here today? I want to do a new thing in you. God is too good. His joy is too abundant. His love is too rich for you to be walking around in such anger and bitterness. You're putting on old stuff, mask, kind of covering it up in a new manner. It's like going outside playing and being funky and then putting on cologne. It ain't gonna work. I don't care how you try to dress it. It is not gonna work. Trust me, I tried. That was 10th grade, the whole 10th grade. I tried it. It creates a stench, not only in the nostril community. I'm gonna tell the truth. Remember truth telling? Some of you need to tell your friends. Dog, you just put on too much cologne. Like, I smell you 6 hours later. Like, I saw you this morning, I still smell you. It's like, dude. Anyway, sorry, another story. Not only is it a stench in the nostril of community, but the hypocrisy is a stench in the nostril of God. Did you hear that? Your hypocrisy. I could even argue theologically, your hypocrisy makes God sick. Not in a way that makes him hate you, but in a way that makes him grieve that you're dressing in the old when he's paid such a precious price for you to dress in the new. Do you understand what I'm saying? James says, I think, talks about this idea, Revelation talks about this idea of the church. He says, I'd rather you be hot and cold than lukewarm, because lukewarm, I'll spew you out. Because there's something about lukewarmness that doesn't settle in my stomach, and it forces me to. Did you see that? Be angry and sin not. And finally, we'll go home on this one. He says, those of you who have been stealing, steal no more. You got to love this about God. He says, you've been taking. Stop taking. But he never leaves you there. This is so important. It's one of the most important things I'm going to say today. He never leaves you there. He always brings you to something new. Religion leaves you and tells you to stop doing stuff. But the kingdom of God, he always calls you to a new thing. He says, stop taking, but now with those same hands, work and do something useful. Do something useful so that you might have something to give. So he says, put off thievery and put on generosity and a work ethic. It says, because when you put on work, you put on generosity, because I don't want you just to be a taker. I don't want you just to stop taking. I want you to start working, but I don't just want you to stop taking and start working. I want you to stop taking, start working, so that you might have something to give, because the very essence of what we're about is our ability to give to one another in need. It was never about you getting for you and your family. It was never about you getting just for you. I'm going to get mine. You better get, no. It was never that. It was always about you getting so that you might give. Why would I bless your hand for you to be a hoarder of my blessing? I've blessed your hand so that your hand might bless others. I've blessed you to be a blessing. Put off the old man. Put on the new. And out of this new place, in this new closet, learn to live, learn how to dress. I'm going to be your stylist. And your stylist says, no, take that off. Take off falsehood and put on truth. No, take that off. That don't match. That irritation and that anger. No. You be upset, be disappointed, even be angry. But no. You're not going to have, no. Call them back and apologize. Don't let the sun go down on the irritation. You say, hey, I'm upset, but I want you to know I love you, and we're going to work through it. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Put on forgiveness and grace. And finally, take off thieving. And don't think just pickpocketing, taking people's wallet. Some of us are emotional takers. We just take from people, just take, emotionally take. Some of you know them when they call you. You know when you see them, oh, Lord, she going to have me. I get dumb. I can't even, I'm in the bathroom, honey. I can't talk right now. Because I see you coming. And when you get done with me, I'm going to need to go see my therapist. I ain't set to see her till next week, because I'm going to have to schedule a meeting tomorrow because you make me feel bad. Some of us are emotional takers. He says, no. Don't be a taker. Be a giver. Bring life. Bring hope. Bring peace. That's how he wants us to live in the new. So I'll end like I began. It's not about what you do, it's about who you be. And you'll never become who he destined for you to become if you see him as one who's come as a hostile takeover or negotiating terms. You have to come in a satisfying surrender. God, I surrender everything to you. Not because I ran out of options, but because I realized that you're the only option. You're all I have, you're all I need, you're all I want. Be God in my life. God, I surrender. And from my surrender, with gratitude, with awe, and with wonder, I live in the new thing that you've done in my life. To God be the glory. Amen.